Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're tackling what is easily the biggest operational headache in machine learning right now. We're diving into part 6 of the 10-part tutorial, ML Ops Mastery, the complete production machine learning handbook. This comes to us from Virtualization Options LLC, a great technology research and advisory group out of Colorado. Now, if you're in IT management or you're an IT professional, this explainer is built specifically for you. We're going to break down the fundamentals of implementing ML Ops in your environment. We are zeroing in purely on the critical operational concepts detailed in Chapter 6, so we won't be rehashing anything we've covered in previous chapters. All right, let's get right to it.
87%. Just let that sink in for a second. According to Gartner research, this is the staggering percentage of machine learning models that never actually make it to production. I mean, think about the massive amount of wasted time, talent, and resources that represents. And here's the absolute kicker. This failure, it's almost entirely operational, not algorithmic. It isn't that the math is wrong, it's that the bridge to production is completely broken.
Okay, so let's dive into this. Here is our quick roadmap for how we'll journey from the painful reality of failed models to a complete enterprise blueprint. We'll be looking at the ML deployment gap, ML Ops foundations, automating the ML pipeline, CI/CD and model deployment, monitoring models in production, and lastly, governance and infrastructure.
Starting off with Section 1, the ML deployment gap.
So you might be wondering, why does standard IT operations, which have been super successful for traditional software, suddenly hit a brick wall when confronted with the AI revolution? Well, it all comes down to this core friction point. Traditional DevOps deals with deterministic code, right? If the code doesn't change, the output doesn't change. Simple. But MLOps deals with code plus data, which gives us non-deterministic models. The exact same code paired with different data gives you an entirely different model. This means your version control has to cover data, code, hyperparameters, and artifacts all at the same time. Standard DevOps just literally wasn't built to juggle all of that at once.
Moving on to Section 2, ML Ops foundations.
So how do we actually build that bridge to production? Well, first, let's ground ourselves with a really clear definition before we get into the deep technical weeds. MLOps is a disciplined set of practices combining machine learning, DevOps, and data engineering. The ultimate goal here is to automate and standardize the entire ML lifecycle, from the exact second data is ingested, right through to model training, deployment, monitoring, and its eventual retirement. It's really about the unification of these three distinct IT disciplines.
And why should IT management make this operational shift a massive priority? Honestly, the business value is just undeniable. Organizations that have mature MLOps see 60 to 70% faster deployment cycle times. They're also cutting their mean time to detect and resolve model failures right in half, giving them a 50% faster incident response. Plus, they achieve 5 times higher model reuse across projects by taking advantage of shared feature stores and registries. That right there is just pure operational efficiency.
Now, to get those kinds of results, you need a very specific connected component chain. It all kicks off with Step 1, tracking your experiments. That feeds directly into Step 2, serving data through a feature store. From there, we move to Step 3, where you register the validated model. Then, Step 4 pushes it out to your serving infrastructure. Step 5 establishes active monitoring, and finally, Step 6 creates those seamless feedback loops to improve your next iteration. It is essentially a continuous, connected journey mapping how a model travels from a data scientist's laptop into a fully monitored production state.
That brings us to Section 3, automating the ML pipeline. If we want to eliminate those clunky, manual handoffs between data scientists and engineers, the ones that just absolutely kill deployment velocity, we have to rely on the concept of exact replayability. And what's really interesting here is that to achieve true pipeline reproducibility, every single run must log highly specific elements. We're talking the get commit hash, the dataset version, hyperparameters, the Docker image digest, and random seeds. Logging these exact elements guarantees that you can perfectly replay any historical pipeline run. But beware, if you miss even one of these, you completely lose that reproducibility.
A massive part of this automation relies on data serving, which means you're going to need to leverage feature stores. You've got several architectural options here. Looking at the open source side, there's Feast, which is great because it's cloud agnostic, though it does require you to manage the infrastructure yourself. Then you have the fully managed cloud options. AWS SageMaker offers a fully managed dual online and offline store. Google's Vertex AI provides a serverless BigQuery-backed option boasting sub-10 millisecond latency. And Microsoft's Azure ML integrates directly with Azure Data Factory for robust end-to-end pipelines. So plenty of strong options depending on your environment.
Next up is Section 4, CI/CD and model deployment.
When you're actually at the point of promoting validated artifacts from the registry to your serving infrastructure, you have a few different continuous deployment gating options. A blue/green strategy flips all traffic at once, which gives you the benefit of instant rollback capability. A canary deployment takes a more cautious approach, routing just 5 to 10% of traffic to the new model to let you compare metrics before a full rollout. For totally zero-risk validation, you can use shadow mode, which runs the new model in parallel with parallel logging, but doesn't actually serve predictions to real users. And lastly, A/B testing allows for a live statistical comparison, letting you build solid confidence intervals before full promotion.
But listen, regardless of which deployment strategy you end up choosing, there is one absolute non-negotiable rule. Every single deployment must support a one-command rollback to the previous version in under 5 minutes. This is absolutely crucial. Meeting this specific SLA ensures that a silent failure or a bad deployment won't ruin your customer experience while your engineering team is scrambling to fix the code.
Let's move to Section 5, Monitoring Models in Production.
Unlike your standard software bugs that will loudly and violently crash a system, model degradation is a slow, silent killer. Teams absolutely must actively monitor for 4 distinct types of drift to keep those business KPIs from dropping. First, data drift, which happens when input features naturally shift over time. Then there's concept drift, where the actual relationship between those features and your target variable changes. Third is label drift, which occurs when the distribution of predicted output shifts, which, by the way, often serves as a proxy for concept drift. And finally, schema drift, which hits when an upstream pipeline unexpectedly changes column types or just drops features altogether.
To actually catch these silent killers, you need actionable SRE workflows. For example, let's look at relying on the Population Stability Index, or PSI. If your PSI creeps above 0.2, well, that shouldn't just be a red line on some passive dashboard nobody looks at. It needs to trigger a critical drift alert and instantly kick off an automatic retraining pipeline. That is how you translate a complex mathematical concept into a fully automated operational safety net. And that brings us to our final section, Section 6, Governance and Infrastructure. As we look at the underlying cloud infrastructure for your organizational blueprint, platform engineers really need to impartially weigh the strengths of managed serving platforms. Looking across the board, AWS SageMaker really excels with aggressive auto-scaling and multi-model serving. Azure ML features really robust, built-in blue/green deployments right out of the box. And GCP's Vertex AI shines with its fully serverless architecture and dedicated GPU options. It's all about matching the cloud-native strengths to your specific operational needs.
Now, I want to pivot to something incredibly serious here: governance. With regulations like the EU AI Act taking full effect in 2026, high-risk AI systems are going to face mandatory conformity assessments and strict human oversight requirements. The financial stakes of improper ML governance are absolutely massive. We are talking about penalties that can reach up to 30 million euros or 6% of global revenue. Let that sink in. This is no longer just an IT issue, it is a board-level issue.
So, to protect your organization from those massive financial penalties, your model registry has to serve as the ultimate system of record for your audit trails. Every single production model must have a comprehensive model card capturing these specific fields: its intended use and scope, the exact provenance of its training data, the evaluation results broken down by subgroup, and all known limitations and failure modes. Doing this proves to auditors exactly what your model does, exactly how it was tested, and exactly where it might fail. So how does IT management actually roll this out in the real world? And this brilliantly illustrates a concrete 3-phase blueprint for establishing a centralized platform team model over a 3-year period. Months 0 to 6 are all about Phase 1, standardizing tools and establishing that crucial registry. Months 6 to 18 shift the focus to Phase 2, automating pipelines, CI/CD in the feature store. And then months 18 to 36 culminate in Phase 3, a fully self-service platform backed by a strict governance framework.
As you go out and execute that blueprint, you have to remember this golden rule straight from our source material. Proliferation of tools is the #1 cause of MLOps technical debt. You absolutely must advocate for strict toolchain standardization. Pick one orchestrator, one experiment tracker, and one serving framework, and then enforce it ruthlessly across the entire organization.
Which leaves us with one final question to think about. Is your organization actually ready for the MLOps cultural shift? Because ultimately, this isn't just about a technology stack. It requires bringing your data scientists and platform engineering teams together with shared SLAs and shared responsibilities right from day one. It's a massive shift for sure. But as we've seen today, it's the only way to ensure your AI investments actually make it safely across that bridge into production. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you're walking away ready to start building that bridge.